go. Best soccer show, backheel.com. Jason Davis, Jared DuBois, live with you on a Sunday night. Getting bad pictures tweeted out of us. What?
Yeah, unfortunate.
You know, occasionally I just wonder if Trevor Hayward has a little too much power. Like he could really make us look stupid. What are we going to do about it?
He sits in his cone of silence and just like takes shots in the dark at us, taking random screen caps. Like we have no say. None. Before they go out.
None. There's zero control over what happens. And while you and I actually do have some control over the Best Soccer Show Twitter feed, you can tweet, I can tweet. I actually I've never pressed this. I have zero control over the Soccer Morning Twitter feed. I don't know why I've never asked. I didn't realize it's never come up as an issue, but now I'm wondering, like maybe I need to.
Maybe I think partly Trevor may do it to protect you.
Maybe
you don't want to see everything that's out there. I know sometimes I don't want to see everything that's put to the Best Soccer Show account.
That's probably true. We are here on a Sunday night. It's a live edition of the program. Thank you very much for listening. Backheel.com. Jared, I'm looking at, the biggest thing is still the CBA because it's not done. The season starts on Friday.
Does it?
Yes, it does. The season's. Are you not aware of this? Are you?
No, I just mean, does it?
Oh, you mean does it if nothing happens? Yeah, and so you have 3 days to get this done, because as an astute MLS reporter has pointed out on Twitter today, you can't get on a plane to fly to a game if you don't have a CBA done, right?
Yeah, and I like that. Oh, we're going to meet on Tuesday. Isn't that the day they're meeting in Washington, Tuesday?
I think I don't know. I've seen some guys like talk about making the drive down to DC and stuff. Like I think Dax McCarty's on the players committee and he's like making the drive down. I saw Mobi Okugo tweeting about getting to DC and hitting Nando's. So clearly these guys are.
I think if they really wanted to make a point, they would like walk the earth like Kang and like and just show up there like I couldn't afford a car.
Are you solidly 100%? I mean, you kind of outlined what your corporate American tendencies last week, right?
Oh, I've already taken a beating on this.
Have you? Okay. I mean, I'm so caught between two things here when it comes to this. I feel like the players need to do it because they need to send a message. If they don't do it, then they look weak. They're never going to actually get what they want out of the owners. And on the other hand, I kind of feel like it's tilting at windmills. They're not going to get what they want. We're just going to end up with a delayed season and a loss of buzz. And you're going to have 60,000 pissed off people in Orlando who want to go to that opening game against New York City FC. You're going to have pissed off people all over the country who want to watch games or go to games.
I'm really worried because you feel like there's a lot of momentum going into 2015. You think about all the things going right with the league, the expansion going on this year. There's been fantastic turnouts for crowds. We've had a uptick in the level of play on the field, I think, over the last 2 to 3 years as well. Talent coming in the league. To bring it all to a grinding halt and have something negative to start the season and miss games and miss the opportunity to take advantage of those things, it's something that really worries me. But at the same time, I hear where you're coming from. If the players don't make a stand now, when do they get this opportunity again? A long time from now. And then next time, they're going to be viewed as a paper tiger.
Yeah, and the owners have not budged. There are no reports that the owners have even moderately considered the possibility of even a strictly structured free agency model.
I know one owner that definitely hasn't.
Yeah, that's Deloy Hansen. We're going to get to his comments here in a little bit because he seems to be the only guy willing to go out in the media and talk about it. By the way, I think he actually owns the station that he said the comments on, which I think is just a fascinating little wrinkle in this.
That goes back to our you own the content, you own the provider that your content is put out on, that conversation from last weekend.
Yeah, there you go. So he's the only one that said anything. It doesn't sound good. If he's representative of the owners, then we're going to see if he's representative of the owners, then the players are not getting free agency. And if they strike, we're just going to end up with the players going until they run out of money, folding, getting back on the field. And all we've done is waste 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't know how much we can really waste. The only thing I like about it, for a guy who supports a team that isn't getting a big player till mid-season, hey, if we miss a couple weeks off the top, we push those games back a little bit, My team gets to play them with Gerard. New York City FC gets to play theirs with Lampard potentially. I'm not sure where in the schedule you put these games in at, because you would think, oh, we'll slot them in sometime over the summer, give enough time to make arrangements. But you've got CCL come summertime. You've got all these summer friendlies to go on. Do you delay the end of the season? You tack these games on the backside, and now you're playing MLS Cup close to Christmas? I mean, MLS Cup's usually the first week of December. How far out do you push this, and where do you put these games if you choose to put it off for 2 to 3 weeks?
Yeah, midweek games don't draw. We know those are always, they tend to be duds depending on where they happen. But if everybody's playing midweek games, then you're sort of hiding your product. I mean, it's not good.
And does Fox honor its agreement to televise every game if now they're on nights that they didn't agree to at the beginning of the season? Are they going to televise the midweek game that would have been one of their some of them are going to be online. I know a lot of them are going to be online, so that shouldn't be a problem. But now you had this thing where you could watch every game all season long, and it's going to be on Fox or one of our other partners combined. How does that now work? MLS Live isn't here anymore. I'm not sure how that's all going to work, but I also don't want to see that get starting on the wrong foot either, because that's something I'm really stoked for this season.
By the way, MLS Live is still here. They haven't gotten rid of that yet. That's happening this year. Did you miss that whole thing?
No.
You missed that whole thing.
Yeah.
MLS Live still exists. It still
costs. Why if they're going to
$70 is the early bird price. I don't know what it's going to be.
So can I not watch them all for free now on one of the various Fox platforms?
It wasn't just Fox. It was actually ESPN was going to push them through their Watch ESPN or ESPN3 platform, but apparently they were not ready for that. I can't believe you missed all this. This is like 2 months old.
Yeah, dude. I was partying.
They're not ready to get to that point yet, or I don't know. I don't know. I don't.
Just scrap the season. Just
Just screw it. I'm done.
Give the title to LA and let's move on.
Well, that wouldn't be fairly won. You wouldn't enjoy that.
To the victor go the spoils. Let's be honest.
To the victors go the spoils. We got a phone call on the line. 386. You're on the air.
Hey, this is Scott from Florida.
What's going on, Scott?
Hey, just going back to the CBA for a quick minute. Normally any other season I would side with the players and I would be, probably for a strike, but just because I'm down here in Orlando and we've got a ton of momentum going into this.
Look at how selfish this guy is, Jared. He just wants his goddamn soccer.
Oh, they'll do anything in Orlando. They'll steal another city's team. They'll do whatever they got to do to get a team down there.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
Damn, dog, that's inappropriate.
All right, yeah. So if you're down in Orlando, and like I said, they're getting close to selling out that opening game against NYCFC. 65,000 people at the Citrus Bowl, right?
Yes, that's the number. I've got my ticket, and a lot of these fans, they've never been to a soccer game. The most we've ever had a game before was I think 23,000. So this is 40,000+ that have never been to a soccer game, and to lose that and for them to hear that this league or whatever is having problems with player unions and stuff, I'm sure that would just kill the buzz.
Absolutely. I mean, this isn't baseball. It's not where baseball was in 1994. But when that season was the second half of that season was canceled or whatever it was, there was no World Series, and people went away from baseball, and it took Sosa and McGuire going after the home run record to get people back. Soccer doesn't have that luxury, Jared. I mean, that's the issue here. There's no built-in safety net for soccer. We're not gonna have people going, yeah, you know what, that really sucked, but let's give them another chance.
Yeah, I think the fact that there's EPL, Champions League, all these other things that are keep soccer on the radar, I think MLS a few, maybe 10, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, definitely would have been in that you're not in the conversation, you don't exist kind of model. But because these other leagues and these other platforms and other tournaments are hitting their stride right during this time, I think the soccer viewership and the train will keep rolling. MLS will miss out to a certain extent, but the soccer fans around the country are still going to be there in some regard when the league comes back around. It's just a matter of, I'm more worried about the people that go to games every week. What's that going to do to them? How that can make them feel? People that are putting their money on the line every week to go to these games. That's kind of what I'm worried about. But I want to ask a quick question for my man from Florida here. Is he still on the line?
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have no idea who plays on your team down there besides Breck Shea and Kaká. You need, and Eric Avila. I'll give Eric Avila's down there. They got 2 keepers. I don't know which one they're going to choose right now.
Moby Okugo, I just mentioned him.
Moby Okugo, Aurelio Collin. Okay, there's a couple of guys down there. But for all the rest of the team, for a guy like myself who's trying to get fantasy buys on the cheap, I look into Orlando. I'm like, ooh, a lot of these guys are cheap. But I have no idea who plays for your team. Give those of us out there in the fantasy sphere some ideas about who we should be looking to pick up on the cheap from Orlando.
Yeah, no problem. We got a guy, our right back is really explosive. He's one of the guys from Portugal. He's a super young guy. I forgot his name off the top of my head. But he's only 5.5. That's how much he costs right now in fantasy, and he's tearing it up. So he's definitely a steal. I forgot his name off the top of my head, but our right back from Portugal, he's going to be a steal.
I think you should get that young DP striker, Jared. Brian, is it Roche, something like that?
I don't trust any young DPs.
All right, fair enough. We don't have a lot to go on.
I don't even know who the young DPs are in this league.
That's a good question.
There was Valencia in Portland for a while. I mean, that's the extent of my young DP knowledge.
That's
because
right.
they show up, I read a news clip, and then I never hear about them again.
It's a good point. So you don't even remember this kid's name? Come on, man. Do better than that.
Oh, is it Duty?
Who is it?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh, is it Rafael Ramos?
Yeah, Ramos. Yeah, he's going to tear it up. He's running up that right flank, and he's been tearing it up.
So there you go. All right. Appreciate the call, man, and best of luck on the season starting on time for all you Orlando people down there.
Thanks, man.
All right, thanks for the call. All right, we're going to, by the way, speaking of DPs, we're going to play a game later. Jared's one of Jared's patented games. He's going to play. I've set this up. What did we decide on? It's going to be DP or UN ambassador. Yes, ambassador, UN ambassador, or designated player. We're going to play that with Jared DuBois a little bit later. Mostly because we've established, I think we talked about this last week, Jared, we've established that there is a list of these like mid and lower level DPs who were in this league and then disappeared that we don't remember. We don't even have to. Like, did they make a mark? Were they even here? If you didn't remember that they played, did they even exist? 956, you're on the air.
Hey, this is Gio from San Antonio.
What's going on, Gio?
Hey, so I wanted to ask you guys 2 quick questions if I could. First one, do you think, and this is a serious question, do you think there is a no haircut clause in Mixed Discord's contract with NYCFC?
I would hope so.
I would think that they would want him to let the locks, flow for his profile, for his image, get him up on those billboards in Times Square with the hair blowing.
The better question is, why would Mix ever want to cut it?
That's a good question. Here's the other thing, Gio. What's funny about Mixed Discord and NYCFC is that they are partly owned by the New York Yankees. They're playing at Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees are notorious for that facial hair and haircut rule that they have. You have to go and be super shaven, clean cut guy when you show up because Steinbrenner.
Yeah, but that's baseball. That's a real sport.
What else? What else is on your mind, Gio?
The other thing was the letter that Compián sent to Don Garber about the San Antonio bid. Do you think that that's going to carry any weight? I mean, we just sold out the USD Mexico game, 65K in 2 weeks, and then we get this endorsement, potential partnership with the Mexican Football Federation.
But here's the real question though. Did that sellout have more to do with your San Antonio's ability to be a soccer town for American League, or the fact that Mexico was playing?
Well, that's why I asked that question the way I did, because taken by itself, I don't think that the sellout does much. But if the Mexican Football Federation wants to partner with San Antonio, maybe get some young prospects through our system, I think that helps our chances a lot more, because now you're seeing the enthusiasm for Mexican soccer through this sellout, coupled with an endorsement from the Mexican Federation. I got to imagine that has some kind of impact on.
I would think so. I mean, obviously, the Mexican Federation is one of the big dogs in the block. I mean, at the same time, though, it's kind of odd. Isn't it kind of odd, Jared? I mean,
I don't think. Here's what I don't like about this. Don Garber's gone on record, and I think I agree here. Was that so? Wait, we're gonna make this team so we can be a feeder team for Mexicans youth to come here?
That's not really. I don't think that's what would entice Garber. I don't know.
I that's what I'm saying. I think it's not necessarily the good image, really. It's great to have a partnership with the league to your south, who's got tons of money, attention, skill, there's a lot of stuff going right in Mexico in their league. But what does it say about MLS if we say, oh, we're going to make this a partnership and you're going to send all your young guys here that can't get minutes in your league?
Well, okay. Let's not. I don't think we're taking it that far exactly. But here, before Gio jumps back in, let me just tell you what Compion's letter actually said, or at least a portion of it that's being quoted all over the place. Quote: "The city has the infrastructure, resources, and diversity that makes San Antonio the ideal place for MLS expansion. I am very pleased that these local leaders have initiated the effort to bring professional soccer to San Antonio, and I look forward to having them as my partner." I don't know exactly what that's supposed to convey to Garber. What is the FMF going to? I mean, what's going to happen here? What benefit is there to the FMF being on board with the San Antonio team, Gio?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm not really tight with Compián personally, but I imagine that it could be a situation that it's obviously nothing like, say, Chivas USA, but I mean, you can't deny that, say, Cubo Torres hasn't had a big impact with the team. I mean, you got to imagine at least 1, 2, maybe 3K at least are coming to Houston Dynamo games as soon as Cubo comes in that weren't coming before. If we're churning out Mexican prospects, because that's all Cubo is. He's just a prospect right now. He's not a regular or anything, and he's already putting butts in seats. You got to imagine that if we're churning out Mexican prospects with an irregularity, we can really get something going here.
Yeah,
in San Antonio.
look, there are obvious benefits if players are crossing the border and helping grow the game. I mean, again, I just don't know what's in it necessarily for MLS on that front. If San Antonio is the right town to be an MLS city, then it's the right town to be an MLS city. It shouldn't matter what the FMS says. The only thing I wonder, Jared, and this is what I got to be afraid of because what's happening in your backyard is FMF teams, Liga MX teams coming and poaching kids out of the academy for San Antonio. This is what's happening.
I'm not too worried about that. I mean, it's going to go both ways a little bit, but there are a lot of young Americans going down that way, and a lot from my local club here, so I got a little bit of feels on that. But in the end, what I do like about San Antonio, it's a team we've been talking about for, 2 years right now? I would say 2 years about one of those slots. And I would say in the last 6 months has really fallen behind the pace. And I'm not sure why that is. There's obviously the glitz of Vegas that was talked about, but I think San Antonio's bid would definitely be stronger than Vegas in terms of that's just a soccer standpoint.
I think there's a couple of things at work here. I think obviously San Antonio has a stadium, it's expandable. That should put them out in front. That gives them a leg up. But I think that there's something for MLS. I think there's something sexy, not about the city and the weather maybe, but certainly the ownership group up in Minnesota. I think that's a big deal. And look, you really can't throw shade on Sacramento, Jared. They just had 20,000 people out for a friendly with the Cosmos. Raul scored in that game. The Cosmos won 3-1, but they had 20,000 people out for that friendly. They continue to build on that success they had last year. They're filling that place. They're filling
like NBA and NFL partnerships.
Absolutely. When you have the Niners and the Kings on board, that makes a big deal. And that's not to say that the Spurs couldn't be involved in a San Antonio bid, but I just don't think that they've got. If you're talking about, it's like a game of chess. I don't think that San Antonio has all the pieces lined up the way that Sacramento does. And again, I think Minnesota is more about the ownership group and the fact that that's a under exploited area of the country for them.
At times, I do wonder what's going to happen with lower division soccer in the U.S. if we keep plucking away all the star teams to MLS along the way.
You know what I've asked? I've asked the commissioner of NASL that question. I've asked the commissioner of USL that question. Both of them don't seem to be overly concerned about him. Now,
what are they going to say?
Of course, they're not going to go crying right now. Oh, he's taking all my.
That guy stole my girl.
They're not going to do that. But I don't know. I mean, I think. I don't know what the full build out of MLS is. I mean, that's the issue here, right? And Garber even MLS doesn't know. So they go, we're going to have 24 teams by 2022. We're going to have Okay, fine, but what's the
unless some really good USL side comes along, then we might expand more.
Yeah, you got anything else, Gio?
Yeah, I just wanted to make one last point on this. I feel like if San Antonio does come into the league and MLS, and I think it will, it's just a matter of time, 5, 10, 15 years, it's probably going to come to MLS, and that's fine. People will wait for it. But I think what you're looking at in San Antonio is an RSL style, the team is the star kind of image that is going to project. I mean, you see the same thing with the Spurs, and there's no getting around it. San Antonio is not like the largest market. And it, like you said, it doesn't have, like, I guess, the sexiness in MLS's eyes that Minnesota or Sacramento might have.
Yeah, Minnesota's not really sexy.
I would put it to you: is it bad to have another RSL style team in
No,
MLS?
that'd be great. That'd be great. I appreciate the phone call, Gio. That would be fantastic. I don't have a problem with that. That's the way they want to run that club. And I'm not going to sit here.
But RSL style isn't just about being small market, by the way. It's doing amazing things with small market mindset.
I'm starting to. We'll get into this. But hopefully, the season starts on time because we're not really doing a preview because no one knows if it's going to happen. But I'm actually starting to think that maybe RSL takes a dip. But we'll get to that eventually. 414
lost a lot of talent on both sides of that franchise.
414. What's up?
Yep. Well, I listened to your show in the morning, and the doc, he said that we should be looking forward or trying to build relationships with Latin American teams.
Well, he actually advocated. Yeah, he actually advocated more European stuff. That's Stefan Zemanski, Jared. I talked to him on Friday. He wrote some piece. He wrote a piece, and he's been talking about how MLS is minor league soccer. So, would you be okay? I don't know who this is. Would you be okay with a team popping up in San Antonio and then being attached to a Mexican club? I mean, that's essentially what we had.
I want a true North American league. That's what I want.
Well, I think
the economic boom that would be created by that would allow us to sign millions of fans with a stroke of a pen, and the television money would go through the roof.
But you'd also have a 50-team league
in wages.
Yeah.
And I truly believe let us have an American style of ownership where it is a closed league with salary cap maybe, or a luxury tax, and we'd be a global competitor.
That's interesting. I mean, look, obviously, I appreciate the comment. Obviously, the combination of MLS and Liga MX would be a monster, but that's the problem. It'd be a monster. It'd be impossible to handle. It'd be unwieldy. Who
would want to make a Montreal to Oaxaca flight?
Oh my gosh. Let's see. 859. You're on the air.
Hey guys, this is Alex down here in Kentucky.
What's going on, Alex?
Nothing much. In the midst of this CBA negotiations and stuff like that, well, first off, being in Kentucky, I've got to tell you, there's not many soccer people around here, so I'm glad to be able to call it. It's a difficult place to be, especially in the midst of this basketball stuff going on. But something that I can tell my friends that I've been trying to convince them, you need to watch MLS, been watching for years, something that you need to pick up on. However, they're finding out about what's going on with this. And it turns out to be that they're a little disinterested. So what's something I can tell them that even if there is a strike, that this will all be okay and that they still need to watch?
Well, I mean, I think that there's still, obviously the strike is going to turn some people off. But, I mean, they will play. They're not going to go a whole season. They will play. Kaká's here now. David Villa is here now. He's going to score bangers. I just watched, there was video today of both Altidore and Giovinco putting in fantastic goals for TFC. I mean, whether or not the quality overall from top to bottom of MLS is good or even relatively close to anything that people watch outside of this country, meaning England or Spain or Germany or even Mexico, there's still opportunity. Not only is there stars, there's still opportunity for those amazing moments, Jared.
I'm going to take this a little bit different direction. As a guy who spent a number of months, like pretty much living in Kentucky for business, I can tell you that they have a fantastic sports culture in Kentucky. It's a college sports culture.
Yes.
And I think that may actually be a plus when you talk to your friends about soccer, is that it's one of the last major sports in America that still has the intimacy of a college-like kind of program where you can the intimacy and the humility of the player in MLS is very on par with the college player.
It's that, but it's also about the support. It's about the the type of fan that soccer gets, and the 5,000 people all singing together and banging drums and chanting. You're not getting that outside of college sports in this country. They don't do it at NFL games. We don't do it at baseball games. We don't do it. I mean, hockey games, you get told.
If Louisville brought in a team and made it blue or red, there's a lot of stuff that you could play to with that.
By the way, Louisville's got a good soccer, a really good soccer. University of Louisville's got a great soccer program.
Absolutely. I got to tell you, though, I'm a student at the University of Kentucky, so that's fighting words there. But,
okay.
Let me tell you real quick, and I'll let y'all go. I'm now towing the line between, well, this is our underground thing. This is what we love. I love the fact that soccer is this kind of this hidden gem. So by taking it too far, and granted, being in Kentucky, it's not much of a problem, but should I keep it underground? I mean, I'm starting to think that by getting all of them on board, that it may turn into just these other enterprises that are just tearing things up.
I do love thinking about this question, Jared. I brought it up on this show millions of times, and I've actually written about it several times. The place that we're in right now with MLS, and let's assume that everything goes well, that the strike doesn't kill the league, that they continue to play, that expansion goes well, and people are showing up at the stadiums. You're living a charmed life right now as a soccer fan in the United States if you care about MLS, because it's never going to be like this again. Eventually, it will be big enough that's going to feel like the NFL. Maybe not as big. It's not going to be as big as the NFL. It's going to feel corporate. It's going to feel removed. You're not going to feel, as you said, that intimacy. Right now, still to this day, and Kaká's included in this, and David Villa's included. You can go, and if you're lucky enough to get seats on the field level, you're going to talk to guys. You're going to have guys come around. You can go to open training sessions and actually converse with these magnificent athletes who are, repping your city.
They still have to do appearances at like your local Best Buy on the side to make some extra money. You could do it. But my question for you though, if Louisville was to get a team, now this is a very important thing because I know almost everyone in Kentucky is in one of these two camps. Who's the jersey sponsor? Big Red or Big Blue?
Big. What do you mean, Big?
That's funny. Well, here in Lexington, I'll tell you, it's Big Blue. But ultimately, I just want to see a team within 3 or 4 hours of driving where I don't have to go to Columbus. Not a knock on Columbus, but the environment there, having been to other venues, it's lacking, obviously. So my thing is just simply, I want to see soccer being played, but ultimately, if it came to Kentucky, I wouldn't care if they freaking put it in Eastern Kentucky in the mountains. I just want to go somewhere where I can go watch soccer and I can enjoy it and I can see it close to me. If it's in Louisville, so be it.
I appreciate the phone call, Alex. Thanks a lot. Best of luck with your soccer in Kentucky, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Soccer Morning. I love it.
I appreciate that. All right, let's come back to the CBA. Let's just hit on this last thing because we haven't really fully. And by the way, I didn't even give out the phone number, and we just had a rash of callers. You guys are fantastic. Let me do that right now. 347-756-6276 is the phone number. Jump in at any time. We'll make way for you. But I want to talk about Deloy Hansen, who's the RSL owner who decided to speak out about the CBA negotiations and was subsequently fined $150,000. He said that any talk of free agency is a waste of time. Here we go. I think there are some really fair offers that have come from the league. The perennial issue is that we want free agency, quote unquote. But that can't exist where everyone's employed by the same employer, which is obviously the single entity argument. How do you have free agency when you're going to talk to yourself at the next employer? That doesn't make a lot of sense. That's not going to change. That's a go nowhere conversation. When you look at all the owners, they've all been in pro basketball, baseball, football, and that was the one thing they all vowed they never do is go through that again. They've tried it twice. It's been defeated by the courts. It's just a foolish place to waste time. If that's still open, it's just foolish.
I think it's a bit of an oversimplification. I mean, obviously, yes, in a single entity structure, you are all employed by the same team, but you can make a division within that there's a lower level that you're technically your rights can be owned by the team or your contract's held by the league.
The thing that hurts Hansen here is that the teams are already operating in many cases as independent entities. So, I don't want to get into the legal element of this.
Look at NYCFC.
I'm just saying, like, we had the Chicago, New England thing over Jermaine Jones. That essentially was, they had to create a mechanism to avoid looking like free agency. Players, this stuff happens, okay? Especially with outside players. This stuff happens. Players coming into the league from other places that are not American internationals. My issue with this, and this is why he got fined $150,000. He makes himself and all of these owners sound like rich fat cats only care about their money, and it isn't about the sport. Screw you, players, and your actual need for for freedom of movement. I mean, this is the most insensitive garbage that could come out of an owner's mouth.
I think it's funny though that you can't sign a contract or have free agency because you're all owned by the entity, but yet you could be fined by your own entity. Like it's all the owners own the league basically, and
if his argument's correct, and if you can't have free agency because everybody's been playing by the same owner, so he just fined himself, right? Like he fined himself. He could just take that $150K, write the check, give it right back, and put it in the other pocket, right?
Well, you think about RSL. That's 5 minimum wage players you could have had for $150,000. I mean, that's a big chunk of change for RSL.
Yeah, I don't like. By the way, we
really should start talking about fines in terms of player salaries. Like, hey, how many player salaries did he get fined?
Hold on, you know what? Somebody on Twitter right now, go and pull up the salary list from last year from the MLS player union salary dump. Find me the best $150,000 player in the league, and we'll just refer to that as the fine that Deloy Hansen got for talking about this. Again, saying stupid things. Whether he believes them or not is not the point. The league fined him because he's damaging their any perception that the owners are actually doing this for the right reasons, and we know that they're not. For the most part, we know they're protecting their money. That's obvious. But to come out flatly and say it, I mean, it's gross. Is that not gross what he said?
Yeah, it's gross, but I mean, yeah, it is kind of gross. But I also kind of get that. I'm struggling with how much do they owe the long term what?
No, I just want to know so let you know you're gonna get some emails. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no kidding. But I wonder how do you weigh out the owner's responsibility to the long term ability of the players to have a more livable size contract and your own financial interest. I mean, there's something they have something to lose. Now, granted, it's money, and some people don't value that, and I as much, and they say it should be the players that value their money as well. But until MLS opens the books and we really see what the loss ratio is for some of these owners, I feel that it's unfair to put them totally in the bad guy black hat scenario. But they also need to own the fact that they're not opening up the books. If the league would just open up the books, either we're going to see, hey, the players are totally right in this, or hey, the owners aren't nearly as much of a bad guy as we think they are.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, again, you're talking about the mindset here. This is why rich owners in sports have bad reputations, because they don't act in good faith. They act only to protect their investment.
But there's a difference when it's the NHL or the Major League Baseball when they're making tons of cash, Jason. These teams are making tons of cash.
Sometimes they're not, but you might have a point. But again, you're taking the league at face value on some level about how much money they are or are not making. But even if they're making money or not making, it doesn't matter. History is littered with ownership groups who you have to essentially sue them into giving up the rights or giving up their control over their players. They treat players like pieces of property. That has been the case since the beginning of time.
That's just sports.
And the MLS owners are no different. It's just that we live in a modern context where everybody else gets free agency in every other sport. Soccer players around the world are able to move freely wherever they want to. And for whatever reason, MLS is going to hold on to this. Again, they can wrap it up in the language of protecting the league and the viability of the league and the long-term future of the league. And we got here with this. Why would we change? They can wrap it all up like that all they want. The bottom line is that rich people don't like giving up control. Period.
I mean, they didn't get rich by being stupid.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, obviously that's true. But that in this case, again, with all of the context flying around them, the players in every other league in the world being able to move freely when their contract is up because Bosman went to.
I don't like talking to you, Jason. Like in my regular life, I'm like a bleeding heart liberal. And like somehow when we're talking, I end up telling devil's advocate to fat cat corporations, and like I end up looking like some kind of conservative, like, I don't know.
Jay Rodius.
Jay Rodius Shrugged by Jared DuBois. All right, just briefly, here's the league's response to Hansen's comments. The comments made by Mr. Hansen are not permitted under the league's constitution, said Don Garber. We are engaged in constructive negotiations with our players, and such comments are not appropriate nor helpful to the negotiations. Well, duh. So there you go.
Hold on, though. That means that he's not being fined because what he said was gross. He's being fined because he said anything at all.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, he's being fined because they had a ban on talking, and he talked. But
so I wonder if he had said something different, if the fine would be less, or that's just, hey, you talk, and that's 150. That's a Sarvis. I'm assuming Marcelo Sarvis is probably around the $150,000 range. No one's gotten back to you yet.
Last year, now he's not now because he's a DP. Fabian Espindola was $150,000 last year. Bill Hamid was at 100. This is just DC. This is from Snore Dan on Twitter. That's just DC United. I don't know who else.
Dropping a Hamid on him.
Yeah, well, Bill Hamid was 100K. So there you go. He got fined a Fabian Espindola, who happened to used to play for RSL. So that actually works out very well. All right. So I'm starting to think that it's not. I'm starting to think that we're definitely going to see a strike. I have no idea how long it's going to last, Jared.
I have no confidence this can be done in this short amount of time. They should have been sitting down at this table 2 weeks ago at the minimum.
I think they were sitting down. I still think they were. I think they were staring at each other. The players were like, "We want free agency," and the owners went, "No, just no. We're not. I don't think so. We're not this time."
I get the feeling the owners are like on like the big kid with the little kid at arm's length with his hand on his head, and they're swinging away, and they just can't quite reach him.
Yeah,
like keep trying, Tiger.
Or like the dad who's got the basketball and the kid's too little to jump up and take he's just holding it up above his head like, no, come get it. Oh no.
Now worse than that, he's letting the kid take a shot and just swatting it back in his face every time.
That's even Sasha Sergio Solis. Sasha Sergio.
There's been more than one Sasha in this league, right? Let me think. There's Sasha Klestin.
Sasha Sergio.
Sasha Vujacic. Oh no, that's Lakers. I'm gonna go with UN.
UN ambassador from Bolivia. So there you go. You're on a roll now. Now I feel like keep it going.
The only ones I've gotten right have been the ambassadors, by the way.
I think that's probably true.
I can't be faulted for being that up on current events.
Blaze Nkufo.
Oh, I know that one's a DP.
Okay, you remember Blaze Nkufo then?
I remember Blaze Nkufo. Yes, I remember Blaze Nkufo.
Nkufo, however you say his name. All right, I'm looking through these. I think the rest of these DPs, these are the past players. The current ones, some of these are so new, I'm not going to throw them at you because you might not know about them yet. They haven't even played in the league, so that's not really fair. But I think most of these guys, let me see. Okay. No, he'd get that one. Let me see this one.
I'll get Giovanni.
Yeah, well, that's obvious because there's only one. He's only got one name. Just Giovanni. Pretty easy.
I would love if there's an ambassador, your ambassador with one name.
That would be awesome.
Like his debate skills are just so strong. He just goes by like one name.
All right. Here we go. Let's see. How about this one? Ready?
Hit it.
Milton Caraglio.
The fact you struggle with the name makes me feel like it's got to be an ambassador because it means you have no like past history with him.
Well, I mean, it's one of those Italian-sounding names. It's just hard to say. Caraglio.
There haven't been many Euro DPs, so I'm gonna go with UN on that one.
He's actually Argentine because a lot of Italian families moved to.
Dirty.
And he played for the New England Revolution in 2011. So Daniel from Atlanta, you're on the line. What's up?
Hey, what's up, guys?
How you doing, Daniel?
He's listening. Thought he couldn't do any worse than me.
Did you want to play or did you have something else?
Sure, I'll play.
Okay, I don't know how many more I got left that are really tough. Let's see. Let me scroll. Okay, let's see. Jared, you pad while I have to. I'm
from Hotlanta. Is that what he said?
Okay. All right. Here we go. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. Here is your first one. Christian Barros.
That has to be a DP.
Christian Barros is the UN ambassador for Chile.
It's not just me.
Sounds like it does sound like a soccer player's name, though. Sounds like
a very soccer player name.
Sounds like a soccer player that would end up in the United States playing for like $385K or something like that. All right, Dan, you ready for another one?
Yeah, one more.
All right. Arevalo Rios. I can't say that name. Arvalo.
Well, welcome to a new game. Jason speaks Spanish.
I can't do that one. Arevalo Rios.
Arevalo Rios? Is that what you meant to say?
Oh, look at my man school you right there.
Whatever. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Obviously you know him then.
He sounds like a player. I don't know who he is.
Okay, he's a player. Did you say player? Did you say?
Yeah, I said player.
You said player. He played for the Fire in 2013. So there you go. Yes,
that means every one of those names you just said got paid more than $350,000 to play in this league, and I don't know who they are.
Oh, no, some of them it was
young DPs maybe. Young DPs maybe.
No. It's about transfer fees and stuff too. I mean, Omar Bravo was on 170K, but that's not why he was a DP. Daniel, what's on your mind tonight?
Not much. CBA, and still contemplating on buying MLS Live. Really, until they figure it out. I don't want to dish out my money.
Is you're holding out on that? Here's the thing: the price is going to tick up, Jared, before we know when the season starts, and people are going to be pissed off about that.
No, if anything, as to make it up to the fans, they should give a price break on MLS Live.
And you could not pay me enough money to be an MLS ticket rep when these games get canceled. I mean, I can't even imagine what your voicemail is going to sound like.
Dude, would you rather be a NYCFC ticket holder during the Lampard stuff or any season ticket holder rep during the strike?
The Lampard thing blew over fairly quickly. I don't know, man. I mean, it depends on how long the strike goes. I don't know how long it's going to be, so I can't say. But I mean, if you got people missing 3, 4, 5 games during a strike period, and what are teams going to do to make up for that? I mean, how?
Thanks for supporting the team. What were you doing on the next 5 Wednesday nights of your life?
Yeah, right. Daniel, what else, man? What's up? What else is up?
LA will win Champions League.
LA will win in 2016.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
I was just thinking as I was watching the Champions League games. Danny, thanks for calling, by the way. As I was watching the CCL games this week, I was just thinking, I really wish I could be inside Steven Gerrard's head the first time he plays CCL. And I want to know what that's like for him playing in that atmosphere versus a European atmosphere. And if there's any difference. Or like, what's that like in comparison playing there?
Did you see both of those atmospheres, both at Alajuelense in Costa Rica and was that Pachuca, that game with
Pachuca?
Both those games had fantastic atmospheres. And then I watched a little bit of Club America, whoever they played. I watched some of that game. Those clubs had done a good job of filling those stands. I don't know if they had to paper over the paper the room or not, but they obviously got a lot of people getting excited. The fans were obviously into it. It was good. I think it's got to be completely different. I don't think he's experienced that before. I mean, has he played a friendly in a South American country?
Maybe there's been no World Cups other than the Brazil down there.
How about this? And these are not direct parallels, but he has played in Turkey.
Yeah, I would say Turkey may be the closest thing to the environment or like some Eastern European nations, I think are very similar to that in Champions League. But I like the shout on Galaxy winning the whole thing next year, but it's a long road, man. And I still think I'm wondering what this means for a team like Montreal, who, by the way, looked very good, I thought, for what my expectations were for Montreal, first of all. And second of all, playing south of the border, getting a good result down there. Could have been a win. Ended up with the draw. Yeah. But I liked what I saw from Montreal, and I didn't expect to say that this week.
A little disappointing to see them give up the lead. But yeah, to have Dilly Duka score twice and Justin Mapp. Justin Mapp is a frustrating player in a lot of ways, but when he's on, I don't know that there's a better...
Yeah, he makes me pull out my hair.
Oh, better one-on-one player in American soccer. Is there a better, more clever? I don't know. I sometimes
Dempsey maybe.
No, I don't. But I don't think Dempsey beats guys one-on-one that often. I
Not
think
for speed, no, so much. Matt's really good at making that one move, feinting and pushing the ball by, and using his speed to get by. And he's used that move and still has it late in his career. That's what's kind of surprising about it as well.
The guy is 30 years old, and I was arguing a bit with our boy Seth Vertalny on Twitter. Seth said, "Oh, I think he might get a call up to the national team, get a return to the national team. He hasn't played for them since 2007. I think it's sort of the Lee Win type redemption. I don't think that's happening at 30 years old for Justin Mapp. I kind of wish it would, but I don't think it's going to happen. 717, you're on the air.
Hey, it's Jimmy from Gator. I have a question about the scheduling. I was listening to another podcast. Do you think they purposely put a Friday game just to be like, oh, we can cancel this game, but maybe we'll still be able to play the Saturday and Sunday games?
Maybe, but they still have the travel issue. All those teams that are that have to go away for the first weekend would normally travel Thursday or Friday. They're not getting on airplanes without a deal. So if you don't have a deal until Friday, you can't get teams to their destinations in time to play Saturday.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
That's it. I just want to say thanks for the shit. I love listening to you guys.
Yeah, don't listen to other podcasts, by the way. Stop doing that. Why do people do that? I don't understand what's happening here. Unless it's Soccer Morning, and then that's okay.
That they do what? I'm sorry, I was reading a tweet.
Why do people listen to other podcasts? Why would they do that?
And we're only once a week now. What are they going to do to fill the gap?
You don't even understand. We are the jealous types. Like you can't call us up and say I was listening to another podcast. No,
unless that other podcast is Soccer Morning.
Well, that's what I just said. I actually did. Okay. I did throw that in there. But if you call us up and say I was listening to another podcast, I mean, you wouldn't call up your girlfriend and say, hey, I was going out with this other girl last night. You wouldn't do that.
It depends how much of a player you are. If you can really pull it off, then congrats to you. But it's not so much a player, how much of a dick you are, you know.
Maybe 347-756-6276 is your phone number. Touching again on those CCL results. Okay, so Montreal with I would call a surprising draw against Pachuca. A little disappointing only because they had the lead, but still set themselves up with a chance back in Montreal. I think people still have Pachuca as the favorites, and they're going to get 35,000 or whatever at the Olympic Stadium up there. But I'm guessing that Pachuca goes through. Montreal's got a shot. DC United fell flat on their faces. Just got
they almost salvaged enough that you could have some positivity coming back up when it got to 4-2. I'm like, oh, okay, they could win 2-0 up in DC, but man, then to go back down again. And listen, Dijkstra had a rough night. You see, I don't know if you saw Ben Olsen's comments afterward about, hey, listen, Hamid's injured. Dijkstra's been on the bench for almost a year, recovering from an injury. He just wasn't ready to go. And so something failed for DC. Like, you've known this guy's been injured for that long. Bill Hamid's been injured for a month, at least, because he didn't go to the January camp.
Yeah.
So who didn't handle getting another keeper somehow established and in place? Listen, there's keeper. Orlando's got 2 starting keepers down there. Get one of them. Colorado's got 2 starting keepers in Irwin and McMath. There's teams out there with an abundance of keepers, and you went to a CCL game with a guy you knew wasn't going to be ready for this game?
Well, I think they just had hope that Dijkstra. You're not going to get a guy just for this tournament. I don't think they have the roster space for that. And I think Dijkstra is a guy that they believe is a legitimate backup in MLS. And if he is healthy, you play him. He just kept spilling the ball. He just couldn't hold on to the damn ball. Yeah. And for whatever reason, DC United they couldn't even keep themselves together for enough time to give you hope. Every time, like DC would score, I don't remember what the score line was back and forth. And I know Alajuelense went up first, but DC would do something good. And 30 seconds later, they're giving up a chance or they're giving up a goal. That's clearly on Ben Olsen, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's how much. Other things, how much do you expect these players to be ready to play at this point of the year? We say it every year. It's a broken record. How are these teams supposed to be ready? Should they be better than a 5-2 result? Maybe, but I mean, history has shown us that MLS teams either A, aren't good enough to finish at this level of the competition, or the schedule just doesn't benefit them enough to really have a chance.
I don't know. I could look at it in a positive light, Jared. Maybe this opens up a space in my schedule now, because I normally I'd be watching CCL, and look, I want the tournament to matter. I should probably still watch the games that don't involve MLS teams. But if I only want to be MLS focused, now I got some free time because I don't care anymore.
I'll give you another positive. It's also an opportunity for when these teams crash out. Hey, there's some midweek games to throw these games in that you're canceling right off the top of the season.
Right, you're opening up scheduled dates.
Because I'm sure DC and Montreal probably have a bye in the next couple of weeks just in case they made it to the next round. Hey, just throw the first game of the year in there.
Yeah, I'm sure they had built in some space because, DC's definitely going to the semifinals of the CCL. What are you kidding me? No, they're not going now. So it's what do you do? You're Ben Olsen, okay? What?
Okay, first of all, I'm shaving my chest.
No, man, come on, that's manly.
I couldn't do it, dude. I couldn't do it, man. The only way I could rock a chest like that is if I had some real nice gold chain on top of it.
Damn, dog.
Inappropriate.
Man, what's
my
up
lady? My lady don't dig it. My lady don't dig it.
Well, what is up with hair going? That's just a California thing in you. What?
Oh, we manscape.
What's up with hair going out of style? What's wrong with chest hair? There's nothing wrong with chest hair.
There's a lot wrong with chest hair.
It's not wrong. Okay, not in my world, man. All right, so
well, here's we have different opinions because there's probably 5 total on my body, so I just can't get there. You, on the other hand, probably are much more of a male than I am.
I've got some hair. So if you're Ben Olsen and you've got the return leg in RFK Stadium next week, I mean the CBA is as a thing here. I mean that may keep them. I don't know what the. Oh no, that's this week. Sorry, it's Wednesday before the CBA technically needs to come due. I think they're going to play that game regardless. So it's Wednesday night at RFK. Mm-hmm. You have the CBA looming over your players' heads. You may not start the season on time, which is on the weekend. What do you do? You're down 5-2. What do you do with that game?
I think the only thing you can do is invite all the owners that are in town anyway for the negotiations to come to the game, to take it all in, and then put a shot of them on the Jumbotron in the box and let the whole crowd react and let them really know what they think of them.
By the way, we're going to finish up. We've got 2 minutes left in this show. I'm going to put this to you, Jared, something that came up when I talked to Dave Zirin, who's a guy who writes on sports and politics. He's the sports editor at The Nation, among other places. He wrote a piece on the MLS CBA situation and the potential of a strike. And he came on my show on Soccer Morning and he basically said, where is the campaign to get the fans behind the players? Where's the players union coming out and saying solidarity, give us,
To be fair, the teams aren't campaigning either.
The teams aren't the teams are almost third party to this. I think you have the owners who control the teams. I get it, but the owners themselves.
The assumption then is that the fans are automatically going to be on the player's side.
Okay, but even if that's not, no, that's not the assumption. That there's a possibility, there's a likelihood. You're talking about blue collar, lower middle class people going out to these games. Now, they may be more likely to identify with the players than the owners. If you're the players, why aren't you trying to maximize that possibility? Now, I don't know if this would ever.
I don't know. Part of it looks kind of like if they can't do it on their own with the arguments that they have and the evidence that they have backing them, does that almost put their case in a weaker position that they have to do that?
No, PR is part of the deal. The game belongs to the fans. Now, that's high-minded nonsense, but the game is supposed to belong to the fans. So you speak to the fans. You tell the fans, hey, this is our situation. This is what we want. We don't think it's out of bounds. They won't budge. Back us and see what happens. And Zirin's point was, if you could somehow manage in a town like Portland or Seattle or Orlando, who's got their first season on the line, if you could get 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 people to, I don't know, march through the stadium district.
I'll pose this as a possibility. Why? If you always knew that you didn't have a chance of getting what you wanted in this phase of the negotiations, do you keep that card in your back pocket for when the strike actually happens?
No, I think you should have been doing it all along. I think the timeline's too short now. I don't think you can just.
No, I think it's definitely time's too short. But I'm saying I think the players may have thought all along this isn't going to happen in the time frame without some significant pressure of us striking and the games being lost, and then you pull that fan card when you're at that point.
Okay, maybe. I don't know. I just imagine that. I think he's right that there are places around this country, not every town. Some towns you couldn't gather enough fans to make it worth it.
I got a question for you. In a league whose media is run by the league, where do you go as an outlet to organize those type of things?
There's message boards. There's SB Nation. There's Twitter.
I'm hoping you would say those things but that shows why there's a value for these other outlets.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, obviously, this will be the first strike in the U.S. that I can remember, sports strike in the age of Twitter, if I can remember correctly.
That might be right.
Did hockey have one? No, hockey had one 2 years ago or 3 years ago, right?
But I don't think anybody cared about Twitter then, or it certainly wasn't as big of a deal as it is now.
I'd be interested to see, and players now employ people specifically designed to run their social media. I'm interested in seeing how those two areas intersect in the coming weeks if this thing doesn't go right, because I want to see who's savvier. I would love to see who's savvy, who's winning this debate in a social media forum?
There's got to be something they can do, and I'm starting to see some things pop up on Twitter, unity and that kind of thing. I've seen some fans do some stuff.
Unity.
I've seen a couple of things. All right, we got to wrap up this show. We've gone over a little bit. I'm going to throw one more name at you. You ready? One more designated player.
David Beckham.
Hamdi Salahi.
I'm pretty sure I actually know that name. I'm going to say that's a DP.
Hamdi Salahi played for DC United, so there you go. I've got to bump up your ego. You're going out on a win. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Go to backheel.com/store to buy some T-shirts, and there's a Soccer Morning mug, stuff like that. Jared, what else? Follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, at J Rodius, at Davis JSN. Hit us up and let us know. Give us more ideas for more games you want to play, too, if you got a better one than what we just did.
We'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Damn, dog, that's an approach. Chester Pufferpuff.
Eddie, what have you done for me lately? He couldn't even have dreamt that.
Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Damn, dog, that's an approach.
J. Rodius.